Plano, Texas. Home to more than 270,000 residents, 54,000 of them are students at the Plano Independent School District. It's one of the best places for a kid to grow up in the country, a quiet suburb of Dallas that's home to the headquarters of major companies, including 4 Fortune 500 companies. But no matter how great a city or place looks, there's always room for improvement, especially in education. We started by looking around in our communities to see what our peers knew, and unfortunately, it wasn't too much.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nah, I never heard of it.
Nothing.
I have actually no idea. I don't know anything about the bond proposal at all.
We set out to figure out the facts.
On February 2nd, Plano ISD trustees agreed to include a bond proposal on the May 7th, 2016 ballot.
You are asked to become an informed voter as you consider this single proposition that would provide $481 million towards 8 major project areas.
With no increase to the tax rate.
If approved, this bond package will include projects allowing Plano ISD to build, repair, and renovate facilities in order to enrich the educational experiences for our students. All campuses would be impacted by district-wide renovations, security upgrades, and facility and technology improvements. Priorities include major renovations at Shepton High School and Robinson Middle School,
as well as facility upgrades at Barksdale, Goldridge,
Hager, Hahn,
Miller, and Skaggs Elementary Schools,
Bowman and Wilson Middle Schools, and Jasper and Williams High Schools. If voters approve this bond, re-roofing projects and the construction of permanent classroom space to replace portables would be funded separately from a combination of funds. With more than 60% of Plano ISD secondary students participating in fine arts programs, the bond package would allow for construction of a Plano ISD fine arts facility to be used for our performances by all campus fine arts programs. Other fine arts projects include additions to several campus-based fine arts facilities to increase classroom size and improve space functionality.
The district's current operating budget cannot support large technology purchases without taking dollars away from the instructional programs. The bond package includes district-wide improvements to technology infrastructure and additional equipment to support classroom technologies that can help maintain the district's long-range technology plan.
Bond funds would include purchasing property and constructing new facilities.
Programs include a new elementary school to accommodate potential future growth,
and a transition center to support students with special needs who are being promoted from school to post-school life.
Research shows that preschool education increases the academic success of students. The bond proposal includes plans of a 4th early childhood school in conjunction with the district's planned expansion of pre-K opportunities.
The safety and security of our students, teachers, and staff are top priorities in Plano ISD. That is why this bond proposal includes more than $12 million in district-wide upgrades to security camera systems, alarm and access control systems, emergency communication equipment, campus panic alarms, and other safety upgrades.
Plano ISD buses travel 14,487 miles each day. That's a lot of miles. That's like driving from Texas to Tokyo, Japan, and then back every single day. Part of this bond is allocated to replace 90 school buses as they reach the end of their 15-year useful life.
Over the years, Plano ISD has brought home many state championship athletic honors. To support these programs, the district is proposing an investment in athletic facilities with the addition and replacement of artificial turf at fields across the district, the addition and renovation of locker rooms, and the enhancement and expansion of softball and baseball bleachers.
It's been 8 years since the school district has held a bond election
and was initially planned to provide for capital needs through 2012. Its lifespan is twice what was originally intended, and now it is the community's decision to consider our district's needs. The school district can issue these new bonds with no tax rate increase, based on current interest and tax-based growth models.
So to summarize the 2016 PIC bond proposals, we can first look towards the district-wide renovations that will be taking place and making up the biggest component of the bond proposal at a whopping 44% of the total amount, which is almost $210 million. Major renovations will occur at Shepton High School and Robinson Middle School, which are concentrated in West Plano. Other refurbishments will take place at several other schools throughout Plano ISD.
Plano ISD for many years has just had a rotation of renovation. And those 20-year renovations are kind of just what they say. When a building gets really beyond a couple decades, they rise to the level of these large renovation projects.
Fine arts are the second major component of the bond proposal, making up 20% of its total amount. With more than 60% of Plano ISD secondary students participating in fine arts programs, and with this number only increasing every single year, funding includes an auditorium for large and acoustically appropriate performances. This is mainly an effort for PISD to stop depending on renting facilities, improving space functionality, and creating a large multi-purpose facility for both musicians and dancers to use.
The estimate is this is going to be a 1,500 seat art center, 127.5 thousand square feet, estimated at $350 per square foot. Now this might be lower, maybe higher. This gives us to about a $45 million, give or take, another $6 million estimated for inflation. If we don't start building it right now and we build it over time through 2019, then we may be at the $51 million range. There is another $8 million for all kinds of services around it, such as the architect and the engineers and other things. There's about $2.5 million that represent 5% contingency, just save another 5%. Maybe we don't need to use it, and about $2 million for the for furniture and things that go inside the art center. That gets us to about $63 million. That's the estimate, plus about $5 million for land that we might be getting. Maybe it will be donated, which means we're not going to need that. So it's an estimate right now.
Okay, so this is what, first I have to start with the numbers. So I know on the bond proposal it looks like it could cost up to $66 million or so, but in reality there are built-in cushions, and what we try and do is predict if, usually we have bonds every 4 to 5 years, but we hadn't for 8 years. And that's another issue. But so when the CFO proposed, the number would be around $66 million or so. That was in case we didn't build the building right now, and we had to wait 5 years. We build in that potential building cost increase. It's like concrete. Oh my gosh, that can skyrocket. We just try and be reasonable, because the last thing you want to do is say you can build it at this amount, a set amount, and then find out, oh no, but we didn't know inflation was going to occur and stuff like that. So in the ideal world, when you look at the information that was provided, the low ball number on there is if we could build today would be $44 million. So in reality, one number versus another, there's just that cushion. One of the, Misty Bender, who's now the board president, and myself, and a couple of others really wanted a fine arts building. We had kids in the fine arts, and there's not capacity at the senior highs or the high schools or the middle schools to really hold, potentially the people who would love to come and see the performance. So that came into the discussion. We do rent, facilities to go play. UIL, they're always going to Allen usually. So we thought it was just an opportunity.
we currently spend about $45,000 a year renting facilities for art performances that do not fit within, like, Building D here. That's $45,000 a year. That's going to be a little hard to get back or break even on a $68 million facility, not to mention that the maintenance estimation for that facility are $500,000. So I don't think that looking at it as we're going to save the $45,000 is how we look at it. It's not to save the $45,000. The question is, should we have in fine art, a performing art center? There is strategic value in it. You know, that there's positioning of Plano in that way. We do need to remember, though, that I think it was 2002. There is, I don't know if you all heard about that, but there were 4 cities that wanted to build a joint facility, art center facility. It was Frisco, McKinney, Allen, and Plano, and it just fell apart. It didn't work out. So now we're going to build our own, or planning to build.
One of the biggest issues with the bond proposal is the cost of the fine arts building. As of right now, the price tag is stated as $69 million, a whopping amount. And this amount could either increase or decrease. Yoram Solomon, a board trustee, points out that because the bond was voted on in a package, residents of Plano didn't have an option on whether they wanted to vote on the fine arts building individually instead, while still giving money to the rest of the district. The district's justification for the cost of the building is that it currently pays $45,000 a year to rent space for performances. But if you took $69 million and used it to pay off rental fees each year of $45,000, you could rent space for over 1,533 years. Regardless, it's understandable that the district does want a building to be a beacon for the city's status, but building an amazing fine arts center can be done with a smaller price tag when compared to other buildings in the area, and it can be done in a way that allows for citizens to vote individually on whether they want the building or not, instead of doing so in a package with funding for the district as a whole.
Another one of the major issues that the 2016 bond proposal is seeking to tackle is technology. The district's current operating budget cannot support large technology purchases without taking dollars away from other instructional programs. This bond package includes district-wide improvements to technology infrastructure and additional equipment to support classroom technologies that help maintain the district's 2013 to 2016 technology plan. The technology portion of the bonds is repaid over a shorter term, 5 years, than the other projects. The uniqueness of the technology plan is that rather than being a reactive measure, Plano ISD is seeking to be more proactive and updating technology on a more regular basis for more productive learning in the classroom. To improve upon athletic facilities, the bond proposal has proposed upgrades to athletic facilities, including replacing artificial turf at Clark Stadium and the 3 senior high school indoor practice facilities, adding artificial turf at several high school indoor facilities, adding locker rooms on the home and visitor sides of the Clark East fields, and improving upon the scoreboard at Clark Stadium.
So one of the bond committee, the task force committee, was a group of citizens, teachers, principals, businesses, and they suggested what should be on the bond. And some of the people on that bond committee said we should have AstroTurf on all our fields. And we didn't view that as a need, and we gave that information to the bond committee, the school board, and said, you know, we don't think this is necessary. Well, then the bond committee discussed again, and they put it back on their list of suggestions. So we listened to them seriously. Some of the reasons why they thought we should put on the bond is the neighboring districts. All of them, almost all of them, if not all of them, have AstroTurf on their practice fields. We also heard the information on how it would save with utilities. I mean, there's upfront costs, now, but in the end, we would save a lot of money, and also it would reduce the risk of injuries, which is the most important. I mean, that was the thing I think that really Martin Tree with the board is that they're like, okay, anything we can do within reason, to help promote injury-free environment, we would love to do that. So it made a lot of sense to us.
One of the most important issues that PISD officials face currently is the problem of overcapacity, especially because in the last few years, Plano as a city has experienced expansion, and because there's a current proposal to add over 800 apartments in West Plano, it's important for Plano ISD as a district to consider its impact on the limits that the schools in the districts have. Because of that, the bond proposal has proposed funding which would include purchasing property and constructing new facilities that will increase classroom capacity across the school district and expand program offerings for students and teachers. However, it's important to consider that no property has actually been cleared by PISD as a potential source for this property. Second, it's important to note that because PISD operates under this system, schools that are experiencing overcapacity in the status quo or will reach their limits in the near future will not be getting the refurbishments and renovations that they deserve because they do not meet their 20-year renovation life cycle.
What we do know is with the city of Dallas and the city of Richardson, with them building multifamily housing units, that there's potentially that need, and we are positive we're going to have that need in Plano West on the south side. So we will be looking to build an elementary school down in that area.
I think they are in response to the possibility of that, okay. And particularly in areas where there is some planning to increase both commercial and residential.
Right.
And we just happen to have schools right around those areas that also the demographer says they will be at capacity in the next 5 years.
Education is extremely important to voters who live in Plano, due to the fact that it's one of the main pull factors for people to come live in the area. With the district being the main one providing arguments in favor of the bond, it came with no surprise that on May 7th, the public voted in favor of passing the bond proposal with an overwhelmingly positive response of 79%.
I think the bond will be passing. Yes. Everything I've heard about it, the people coming in to vote, is very positive.
Not very well as a student, I guess.
5.
Not very loud, I would say.
I'd say 3.
Maybe a 4 or 5.
Maybe like 2.
Plano ISD is an amazing school district, and as students of Plano Senior High, we can attest to that. But just because our district is doing well compared to others, doesn't mean that we as students in a community stop paying attention to where we can improve once our 13 years here are up. Often the consensus used with education is that it's good enough. Don't stand for that. Ask questions, inquire about policies, and demand improvements from your school district, no matter how good it may be.